Hello, world. Patricia O'Connor and Frida Reba Dorsey here. Let's see. Wait. There you go, babe. There you go. Yeah, she was having a little nap. I caught her napping. She just like sprung into action. Did you see that? She just sprung into action. Today is a beautiful fall day on the Bonsai balcony. It is All Hallows Eve. Huh? What? It's the day before Halloween, y'all. That's why you just say that. And today on the Bonsai balcony, we're going to discuss the color of our trees. The color of our trees. And we got a couple of different ways to go with that. One, it's going to be kind of like, why are my pines yellow? And they're not totally yellow, but I'm seeing a little yellowing on some of my pines. And it's, you know, I remember my first couple of pines. You know, we got some red and some yellow. We got all kind of colors here. There's all different kind of things going on here with this little ponderosa. And some of my little Japanese black pines are showing me a little off color. Mostly good, but a little off color. Meanwhile, my counterparts, where they're showing more signs of fall than I am, are starting to see more yellow than I'm seeing now. Why? Why are my pines yellow? Not to worry. Everything is okay. Everything is very likely okay. I remember, like I was saying earlier, my first year at doing a couple of pines, I was noticing that come the change of seasons, I personally have always had a little bit of change of mood. Also, I get a little bit of, kind of a rainy day feeling in the winter. I'm more of a summer baby, and I'm not going to overstate that. It's not, I wouldn't call it depression. I've seen people who have depression, and it's not that. It's more like rainy day blues during fall and winter, and that triggers because of the sun and the seasons and all that. And at the same time, I see it in my trees. So it would be like me to take that personal. Am I doing something that's making my trees yellow because I'm not feeling my best? No, that's not on you. Everything isn't about you. But y'all are both having the same thing, though. That's what it is. The same thing that's making those older needles start to show a little bit less. They're less resistant to things, and it's starting to make them look a little old. The things that are starting to make some of your other pines look a little, are the same things that kind of made me personally a little bummed out. And they weren't one causing another. We were both feeling effects of the same thing, and it was just basically the change of seasons. Our pines can look a little yellow. Also, I'm not quite there yet, moving the camera around, but I'm really big on letting my tiny little trees have their escape roots, and then making sure there's substrate for them down there to have their escape roots. And that helps them to survive, helps them to keep their pots cool, helps them to stay hydrated if their little bonsai pots go dry. Right, all those little roots down there. But those same roots in that same wet substrate a month from now would cause these trees to look yellow, because that would be the same thing as overwatering, because in the winter months, when it rains a little more or when water evaporates less because of high humidity, then those trays stay wetter, and those roots that are escaped in them would stay wetter longer, and I would start to see that. In my tree, and that would be an exception, basically, to the rest of the conversation. So I've noticed that whenever we get farther into winter, I need to go back and cut my little escape roots back so that they don't affect the health of the tree in a negative way. And then come spring, they can have them back as fast as they can grow them. That's perfectly fine, and they can keep them. They can keep them unless I'm going to show the tree. So, until it comes winter again. And so that's what's going on there. Aside from that, what we're seeing when we say that our trees overall look a little bit yellow. And I'm not even getting into the fact that the day before Halloween, and some of my bald cypress are just starting to show, you know, if we got that cold snap, this guy would go all red. I know we're talking about pines, but I'm just mentioning it would be nice to see the whole tree go that kind of color, red or deeper. But we may be in for one of those little bit at a time changes, and that's just on my bald cypress. But anyway, we can see, you know, and our pines are green. Our Japanese black pines and our ponderosas, those are all evergreens. So, you know, it can be a little disconcerting when we see yellow on them. I remember going and pulling up YouTube and looking up, why are my pines yellow? And I found a Peter Chan, Heron's Bonsai, calls just called completely that, why are my pines yellow? And with great enthusiasm, I pulled that up, hoping that he would tell me that it wasn't me, that it wasn't my fault why they looked off in color. Only to watch him talk about all of his white pines. Not one of the trees that he talked about was a black pine. And in my paranoia, I quickly picked up that we weren't talking about the same species of trees. So was what he was saying to me about this time of year and pines being yellow, was that just in regards to his white pines? Can I take comfort in his words of wisdom when I have only black pines? Yes, you can. It's kind of the same thing. He should have probably, in my mind, mentioned that white and black pines do that. Whenever I was looking at this video to see why my pines were yellow, he was given a pretty thorough explanation, but he never once said the word black pine. So it would be very, very easy for me to wonder if his pearls of wisdom pertain to me or no. And in this case, you see the tree I'm playing with now, it's got a lot of two-year-old needles, 3-year-old needles. Those guys were ready to give up the ghost anyway. And so in this case, why is my pine yellow? Pick any 3 reasons. It's fall, and there's some 2- and 3-year-old needles here. So yeah. But the short answer is that's what our pine trees do this time of year. And that's not necessarily on you. Also, all the trees that I picked up, that we did needle reduction on, that we did candle cutting on, all of my Japanese black pines that got their candles cut. Make that little guy way back over in there. You can't even, come on now, focus. All of those guys will not have been fed since late spring. And bio gold is in the mail on its way, so not to worry, you guys are. But that would be another reason why at this time of year, if we haven't seen that our new candles have hardened off, so we haven't resumed our feeding, it would be about this time that we would start seeing the effects of that as well. So here in the Bay Area, I won't see these trees go completely dormant. For that reason, I feed year-round. Not quite year-round. When I'm doing candles, we have a time in the spring when we stop. But unlike a lot of people, I don't necessarily stop feeding in the winter because we're still building root mass, and I still see the trees rising up out of the ground, and they are still very much photosynthesizing and stuff. So this guy got pretty heat attacked. Also, I brought it in the other night and removed a lot of dead needles on it and put a couple more bins in it. We'll see how it likes it. It looks a lot better after I removed, but it had a lot of heat damage to it. So I might not be out of the woods on that little ponderosa. Other things. How will other things? So that kind of covers mostly. The short answer is your trees are going to go through some changes in this time of season on a lot of our pines, our black pines and our white pines and stuff. We'll start showing yellowing of needles and stuff that just goes along with it. Also, the trees that we did our candles on and stuff, they should have gone without food for some time, and that will begin to show itself. any yellowing. And for here, if your trees go from that into winter and then are dormant, then you may or may not feed. Here, with our balmy conditions in the winter, I keep feeding. So it will be time for me to start putting food back down in there. You can even see my maples. Now, I was wondering earlier today, I was kind of in the shower, I was thinking like, well, are my lights causing my maples to stay greener longer, or causing my bald cypress to stay greener longer? No, Alameda, California is. The conclusion, I was going, now wait a minute, are these guys staying green in fall, right before Halloween? No, it's not that uncommon for maples to stay and keep photosynthesizing in late October. But what answered the question for me was when I came up with the notion that the maples on the grounds here at the apartment are all still green and photosynthesized. And so these guys are doing the same thing that they're doing downstairs in the ground. Full live trees. And this is also what I've come to expect from my bald cypresses. Now, what could also used to scare me, I'm going to just do a little quick deviation from the pine talk. One thing that used to scare me is I would see my other evergreen, my cork bark oak, would put out another flush of foliage in the fall. And you're like, wow, that's super. Not only is this guy not, losing all of its leaves for the winter, but it's going to double down and start pushing out a lot of stuff. But guess what? It also will start dropping leaves prolifically. It just starts flushing. It puts out more, but it's also deciding for whatever reason. Some stay, some go. I hadn't quite figured that out. It doesn't seem to be age related. It's not like it flushes out a whole bunch of leaves and drops these. Some of the leaves that turn yellow and drop in a day or so are brand new. So, but it will do that too. You will see this guy in the fall just all of a sudden putting out a ton of stuff, and then all of a sudden you'll see so many leaves on the ground that it's worrisome, and it's still putting out more. And it'll finally quit and regain some sense of, kind of like what that looks like now. Except we haven't gone through that yet this year. Know that that's coming, and if you're living somewhere where your cork bark oak is starting to drop leaves prolifically, even the ones that it just made, that's its little seasonal trick, not to keep feeding it. If it's doing all that, keep feeding it would be my hunch. Okay, so it's kind of the same here. This is my California coastal oak, and it is also known to do kind of a second push in the fall, and some of which I can. Well, if I make that go into focus, I can show you. Come on, focus. Hocus pocus, focus you. Anyway, got little buds on the ends where we did our pinching earlier. All the tips have little buds on them. So we're seeing that, and we will also see some leaf drop on this. Okay, follow up on my ponderosa while I'm here. What you see here when you're making brownies, no, this is not mud pies or brownies. This is a lot of peat moss. And what I'm doing is, this is wet peat moss. And I'm going back with this stuff. And, I wanted to strain that. Let's strain that first. And I'm going back with top dressing of peat moss. And the reason that I'm doing that is I was wondering about something. I have been wondering for several weeks what's going on in here, and it's kind of like I've been not really wondering like an open-ended as much as I was wondering if something specific wasn't happening. In other words, I'm watching this top dry out really, really fast. I'll look on this side and it's a little different. This has got more top dressing and more exposed roots than this, and this is more my little academic lumps here, a little round. So this would dry out super fast, like in a day. And then if I rake one or two of these layers of balls back, I see that this is still damp. Down here, so this is dry, gets really dry really fast. This is probably where the majority of the roots live that stay watered. and this part would be too wet. When I repotted this tree last spring, that's what I saw. I was seeing death by too much water here, active roots here, and then stuff that was borderline too dry and spotty up here, and a lot of mountain soil that I wanted to get rid of. So I went through and put a lot of top dressing on here, and we noticed a lot of improvement in the general health of this tree. I think my repotting was a success, and the tree is showing good signs. And what are good signs? It is pushed out. We had a really good year when it comes to pushing out health and vigor, and I've seen less problems with pests like aphids or anything like that. I was starting to see some of that, and I was knowing that we were trying to get over some things. So with this pot being this big, that's still going to be an issue as to whether or not the top gets too dry and kills any roots up here because they don't get watered soon enough. This stays happy, and then this stays too wet. What we did about that was we removed a lot of mountain soil, a lot of bad soil. We put a lot of large aggregate, big chunks in here, which will allow for more water and oxygen. And then what you see me doing here is putting on a layer of peat moss on the top, which I have then blasted away with watering. So this isn't a new idea as much as this is me putting this stuff back. And by putting this back, I'm hoping to keep more surface roots. Well, I'm not going to say more surface roots alive. I don't know how much surface roots I have in here in this over-dried part, right? But by adding this moss to the top, I'm going to try to increase this area of living roots and get more of that stuff to go up here and occupy more of an area here. And I think we were already well on our way to doing that, but I'm going to increase the surface area of my top dressing, and I'm going to put it back where we lost some overwatering, and that's kind of the idea there. I'm going to dress the rest of that out. I'm starting to, this is starting to become less and less, more water and less peat moss. So I need to, and I don't just pour peat moss in there and have it get wet. I got to stir it and soak it and make it get wet and stuff. So I'm going to make another batch of that and finish dressing that out. Otherwise, I think our ponderosa pine is looking pretty good. This tree has undergone a lot of changes in the last couple of years. It was collected off the side of a mountain in Deadwood, South Dakota, thousands of feet up in the air. It's a little over 100 years old by estimate. I think when they did a chop here, they probably counted the rings because they said it was 120 years old. I am in the process of, it's being grafted. That's a graft that's in center frame. That is Japanese black pine, and the rest of it is healthy and vigorous ponderosa foliage. It is more healthy and more vigorous since it's repot. It's been doing really, really well. I also feel like it's a race against time. That graft of that Japanese black pine is growing in the zone for which would be most happy. The rest of this tree is growing in a zone where it is said to be pretty iffy. I've been told that I can't grow this tree here for several years without it running out of energy and crashing. So that's why I have overwintered it 2 years ago and had it grafted. So that's the, I had 6 grafts on it, 1 took, and that's it. It's starting to get pretty big. I would like to have more grafts on there. I don't know whether or not I'm going to be able to because the bark is already encroaching. I also don't know whether or not I'm going to be able to get that person to regraft the tree, and it's important that I continue to use this same stock. If I put more Japanese black pines on it, it needs to be that same genetic. So further grafts on this tree, if it is grafted again in the future, may come from that scion. When it grows more scions, I may clip one off there and try to incorporate it in here somewhere. I want this to pick up on Japanese black pine foliage, and I want it to have a couple of years to recover and recuperate from shipping and styling and wiring and repotting. And the mountain soil, it was collected in 2022, and right now with everything that it went through to get here in Alameda, and with everything that was going on with it up till now, I think allowing the tree to sit back and establish roots in this pot, in this same training pot, for a while and let everything regain its vigor is probably my best next move. The question I have is, do I start cutting back some of this ponderosa foliage in order to start to give the nod to my one graft, or does that being my one graft mean I probably shouldn't do that? Also, I don't know if I'm still, the person who grafted this tree said you will no longer have to worry about it growing in the wrong zone because you've got Japanese black pine grafts. Does that count if it's just one? So the continuing saga of Patricia and her ponderosa pine. Also, I would like to say that we're not really showing our best. It's not showing our best, but you can see the base of this tree. That's probably our front. So whenever you see me walking up to this tree, I'm walking up dead to its back, and that is how I would turn it if I wanted it to look its absolutely skinniest at the base, because from the front that just gets enormous. This tree has a lot of potential, and I'm really excited about all the tree as an undertaking. I'm excited about the it's also a nervous thing to do. It's I'm invested in this emotionally, and I'm really looking forward to doing some more shaping of this. I think that apex is a little too straight. That line is a little too straight. It's not planted at an angle right now. It's planted at an angle that help me grow the root. I want a big root mass everywhere, so that when it comes time to transplant this, I won't have to worry about the angle that I choose not having enough roots underneath it. So yeah, we want a big rectangle of roots there that we can cut back to what we need, where we need it. And that's kind of what's going on there. This is supposed to be a show called Why Are My Pines Yellow? And the answer to why are my pines yellow is because it's fall, and they do that in fall and winter. That doesn't necessarily mean that that you're doing anything off your game when it comes to bonsai. But if you're like me and you maybe get a little bit of rainy day blues, over the change of seasons, this can be something that will compound your worry. You'll go, well, things aren't going well when they're going fine. And my trees look yellow. What am I doing? It's not on you. It's okay. Get your zen from your trees and know that things are all right. Just do what you know to do. Water your trees, love your trees, enjoy your trees. And this is a great time of year to be doing and enjoying bonsai. I appreciate you. Frida appreciates you. And just run into that bed. And thank you all. Thank you all so much for watching.